Hello and welcome to the Frog manual. Frog is alone, nothing special in this manual. But here it comes, and this time is something big. Oh yes, it's a huge scar. This is the Scar Heavy from VFC. It's so big it cannot fit into the screen even, but for the purpose of the Frog manual we will handle it somehow. So let's try to show it once again. So this is obviously the MK20 SSR, what I have here, but I guess this is obvious that the conversion will fit also to the other Scar Heavy models from VFC. And in future there will be WE Scar Heavy converted too. So right now we will be converting the Scar Heavy from VFC. Of course, you see it's already kind of modified for my needs. It has the scope, some special charging handle. There is also a bipod, so it's even heavier and even more difficult to maneuver. But we will do the conversion mainly on the lower receiver, so I will leave those things on the gun and we will focus on the lower receiver today. So the GBBR conversion for Scar H, right? Manual will be recorded kind of similar to the others, and in this case let's start off, let's save the talk and let's look into the conversion contents. The first thing we will do is have a look on the contents of the conversion. So here is the conversion itself. It has the fixed screwed connector because of the trigger guard, which is integrated into the receiver of the Scar. There is the drill plate for the Scar to help you find the position for two attachment screws, which are also included. These are M2.5x8 screws. Of course, the US connector, like in all Frog Engineering conversions. There is the hose, the more flexible one, to make it easier to position it on the trigger guard. It also contains the protection spring and the sleeve of course comes in two colors. Here you can see the green one, but also available is the black one. And for this assembly I'm using the green one because that's the concept of the gun basically. And there are two magazines, the latest FMAG 762. They are 50 rounds capacity, no resin used anymore, much more robust, much more durable. And the version 2 is a bit different compared to version 1. In this rear area where the cutout is longer, you will see during the assembly why this is important. But if you have the original resin FMAGs, you can modify them. I actually prolonged here the cutout to be, let's say, on the level of this rib. If you do it, it will be fine to use the old magazines, the 40 rounders too. Of course, the models for the magazine will be published. And the magazines come in this dark earth color, but also they can come in the black color, so up to your preference. And the last thing is the speed loader. The latest model right now is version 2.4. In future it can change, and always there is the spare main wheel for the speed loader in case the original is damaged during the formatting of the magazines. These new latest higher capacity magazines with plastic shells, they are much more durable and the springs used in them are much better, and they don't require, so let's say, hardcore formatting like it was needed earlier with the old magazines. So also the wear on the speed loader should be far smaller. Okay, and some more things included in the kit are of course two sleeves. I forgot to show them, yeah, but usually it was 3 sleeves, 2 smaller ones and a bigger one. And right now, because we use a newer type and smaller type of the black HPA connector, it's coming just with the 2 sleeves. It's enough for the assembly. So these are all the contents and we will do the assembly right now. The Scar is quite big in the receiver, so the assembly steps will be mainly for the lower. We will start off with conversion preparation, assemble the conversion to the receiver and learn how to route the hose out from the gun. On this occasion I will be also replacing the pistol grip for the Magpul grip because the original one is basically terrible. In my opinion, it's the worst pistol grip in the history and really extremely unpleasant to hold it in your hand. So let's start off with the conversion preparation. For the conversion, we will need the main valve, which is hidden here on top of the magazine, and the gasket from the top. And they are exactly the same as the M110, obviously, from VFC. So let's start off with the valve. Make sure that your magazine is empty, and the best is to shoot it out or push it with some kind of tool, I mean the valve, to release the gas, to make sure really nothing is in there. Because if you do it like I do with my finger right now, it can burn you if there is too much gas expelled at once, yeah? So don't do it like I show, use some tool for it, but basically I know that my magazine is empty because I checked it before, yeah? So for me, let's say it's safe. And the valve should be possible to remove if you take the proper tool and you unscrew it, even with the black cap still on the magazine. So let's take it out quickly. Okay, so I pulled it out. And you see one seal is missing. There is one seal here, there is missing in the groove, and then one here. There should be three in total. So it is stuck in the magazine and we need to pull it out. And of course, let's put the seal back in its place. And now that you are taking out the valve, you can inspect it for, you know, any damage on the O-rings or dirt. You can clean it, because maybe you already used this magazine, it's maybe not brand new, and maybe there is some sand in it or whatever. And then the second thing, so the two screws here on the top, I recommend to hold the cap of the magazine with your finger. You remove those two screws, and now you will be able to remove the cap, though the follower will try to jump out, shoot out, because it's under spring tension, yeah? So let's make sure this happens smoothly, and I can take out the seal. That's it. And the rest of the parts from the magazine are basically not needed, so just the seal and the valve. And here the assembly is practically the opposite to what we've seen in the magazine. So there are two screws on the top of the cap that we will have to remove. Okay, the cap can be taken off, and the seal has to be simply inserted in this groove, same like it was in the magazine, and then the cap goes over it. Okay, and the screws get tightened. And the seal is in place, and the valve, you simply drop it in from the rear. You can use the tool, and the best practice is to make one turn back until we feel this jump that the threads catch, yeah, they align, and then we can just turn this clockwise and screw the valve completely into the conversion. Make sure it's nice and tight, and the conversion is prepared. Now back to the big guy. The conversion will be fitted into the magwell and attached there permanently. For this we will need the bottom receiver. So here, pretty simple, let's take off the bottom receiver. You need to push in the pin. Yeah, I can pull it from the other side. You can tilt this and push it forward, and the receiver is here. And the rest of the gun is basically not needed, so let's put it aside. As you can see, this is much easier to fit into the screen right now, and the conversion will be attached here in front of the valve knocker block. And here is the important note that you can see here as a silver lever, right? So if I release the hammer, this lever goes up, and basically it retains the valve knocker, which is under the bolt catch arm, maybe not visible right now, but it retains it in position even if the gun is cocked back until the slide rides over it and cuts off the earth. You see the valve knocker moved back, right? So have a look once again. See, it went up, and if I cock the hammer, valve knocker is deep in there, and if I press the lever, it goes back. So why am I mentioning this? Because in the M110 type guns, the SIR-25s, I mean, AR-10s, and the HK417 from VFC, they removed this part, yeah? And I made videos in which I show that having this part is mandatory for functionality of the conversion. so you have to buy it separately in order to, you know, assemble it in case you are missing this part. This is like a new trend in VFC for whatever reason, yeah. And in the SCAR, this is Cybergun, so VFC produces it under the license of Cybergun, and they still keep the lever. This is latest release that I bought, so it's like few months old, and the lever is still there. In case it would be missing, then it has to be bought separately, and of course Frog Engineering with conversions will offer it, but if you would like to buy it separately, you can probably buy it also as an aftermarket part from VFC. You see how terrible this pistol grip is? It's unpleasant to even hold it to show you something, right? It's terrible. Okay, so I have the lever and I don't have the issue. The conversion will work fine. If you don't have the lever in some newer release in year or two, I don't know, then you need to get it together with the spring. And now to prepare the assembly points for the conversion, we will need to remove this block, and I'll explain you how to do it. Okay, so we start off with removing of the bolt catch arm. This is pretty simple. You need to just pull it up from the receiver, just like this. It comes out. There is a spring underneath, yeah, but it's not so easy to lose it. Just keep it in mind. Okay, and now the second thing is the mag catch, and the mag catch has a screw here accessible from the top. Okay, the screw is out. This allows you to take out the mag catch lever and the spring. All these parts can go aside. Okay, next there is a screw in here. Okay, so the screw is removed, and this, although it looks like a screw, it's not really a screw. This is an axis for the pin, so don't try to unscrew it just now. When we rotate it to this side, you can see another screw here which was under the bolt catch, so we will remove also this one. By the way, what I like about the VFC SCAR compared to WE, it has the real firing group straight from the real firearm, yeah? It's not like the WE where they put the trigger block the same for all the guns, and you have M4, you know, trigger block is just extended a bit if needed to fit the particular gun. Here you have like specially designed parts, especially for the SCAR, just like it is done in the real gun. Yeah, I like this approach very much. Also, like in MWS, yeah, you have a SCAR in MWS, and it has the MWS trigger group. It has nothing to do with the real firearm. Yeah, I like it very much. Okay, so now coming back to the disassembly, theoretically it's possible to pull this out already, though it will be very, very hard, yeah? So to make it a bit easier, it's better to disassemble the rear of the trigger group, not to damage anything, especially this plastic receiver. If you try to hit it with hammer or something, you can damage it, right? So I'll remove also the rest of the trigger group, and then it will be much easier to take this part out. The next step will be to push this steel plate here to the rear like I did, and you see it's easy to take it out to the top. You see it actually shot out in my case, yeah, but yeah, that's how you remove it. We will take out the fire selector, and there is a screw here. This is pretty standard. You obviously remove the screw, you can take out the lever, okay, and now by rotating the firing selector you will be able to take it out completely. And here there will be this spring and this kind of, it's not really a pin, but let's call it a pin coming out with it. It was in the receiver locking the positions of the firing selector. Alright, now we will need to unlock the rest of the pins, and they are retained by the second sheet of metal here. So let's push it, okay. And when it's fully to the rear, you can release the hammer, and then the hammer pin will be possible to simply and easily be pushed out. And then you can release also the hammer, just take it out together with the return spring like this, and this whole plate will be released too, yeah. And now it will be much easier to remove this steel part from here, because I can basically grab it from both sides like you see I do, and basically pull it out. It will still require some force, and in my case the springs were released and those two silver arms were released, the full auto sear and this valve knocker lock with those springs, but the part I needed is also released. So here there came off the bolt catch, second arm, and I have this whole nice big steel block here. So for now the receiver will not be needed. I don't need to remove the next parts, but if you would like to, you know, for cleaning, you just push out the pins now, because those locking plates were removed, yeah, so all the pins will come out pretty easily. Okay, now we will concentrate on the conversion attachment. So here what we need to do is the holes for those two attachment screws, M2.5 times 8. So we will do M2.5 threads in the part. You know, the attachment is very simple. There are two holes here, the screws go through the holes like this, and you can screw the conversion into the part, right? So the first step is to properly drill the holes for that part, and for this you use this drill plate part, which you basically like push onto the scar firing pin retainer like this, and those two locations, this is where you need to drill. And you can, like, you know, drill through this, or just use some punch tool and punch some indentations in the place where to put the drill and drill through. I'm gonna take the second route, so the punching is better for me. So my holes are marked, right? And like, if you want, you can disassemble this part, right? You can remove the screws from here on the top and here, and take out the valve knocker, then drill through and so on. But if you pack it with some tissues or tape it and so on, there will be not much debris, so maybe you can do a drilling and threading without, you know, having the parts enter the recesses and so on where they should not be. So it's up to you. And for drilling, this is a hardened steel part, so you have to be pretty careful. And the best way is to go with the tiniest possible diameter of the drill and increase it until you get to the proper dimension. So I'm gonna start off with 1mm drill, go through, then switch to the 1.5mm drill, again increase the diameter, and finally go with the 2.05 drill to make the diameter for the threading tool. Then I will show you how to do the threading safely, yeah? So now I will show you the result of each drilling, let's say, step. So here's the part, two small tiny holes, the 1mm diameter obviously. If I put my drill plate over, you can see they are like perfectly in the center. Maybe in the video you don't see it, but they are positioned well. So the drill plate probably serves no purpose anymore, but I can increase the diameter now slowly to 1.5mm. Let's do it. Right now the 1.5mm holes, like, honestly, you know, it looks practically the same, right? So let's go for 2.05. The holes are ready, the part is cleaned up. So now the tapping, right? This will be tapping by hand, and I'm gonna use these taps. Make sure that all your drills and taps you use are very, very sharp, yeah, because this is hardened steel again. So if you are using this kind of taps like I do, you can see they are marked with some lines like cuts here. There is the 1 cut, 2 cuts and 0 cuts. So you have to start off with the 1 cut, because this is like a pre-threading, then do this 2 cut, and the final thread shape is the one with no cut, yeah? So I'm taking the 1 cut. These are some brand new, very sharp tapping tools, and to make it possible I dip it in the edible oil, right? No like machine oil, this is regular edible oil, this is a special trick. And then you just put the tapping tool into the hole and you turn it in, and when it starts to, you know, form the thread, you do like I show right now. So you go 1 full turn and half turn back, again 1 full turn and a half turn back, and so on and so on. It will take more time, but I recommend you keep this process, because if you break a tapping tool in this hardened steel part, probably you will not remove it, yeah? Then it's better to be, you know, safe than sorry. And you see it goes quite easily. Probably will be done in just a moment. One important thing is that in case you feel too much like resistance, just remove the tab completely and clean it up and start over. Yeah. So again, one full turn, half turn back. One full turn, half turn back. One full turn, half turn back. And my tapping tool is already through. Yeah. Went pretty easily. So I'm gonna repeat it with the other side and of course all 3 tapping tools, and this way I will form some nice threaded holes. And here are my holes cleaned up, everything's cleaned up, the debris are removed, the front of the hole and the rear is flat, there is no debris. And what you can do is just check for sure that the screws fit, yeah, like no problem here, no problem here. I know it before I screwed in, right? Okay, just remember, use the drill plate, use sharp tools, be patient, use the method I showed and explained, and it will be good. So, done. Now we can zoom out. And still, before we will go back to assemble everything into the receiver, which we theoretically could do, but best right now is to do the trigger guard. So here there is the integrated trigger guard. I already published a video on how to make integrated trigger guard hose routing, but this was for metal trigger guards. They were more massive, let's say, than this one, and stronger in general. So here we will take a bit different approach. First off, let's take the pistol grip out, because we don't need it for that case. Nothing special. The Phillips screw in there. Okay. I really don't understand who designed this awful pistol grip. This is of course a copy of the real one, but it's terrible as hell. So yeah. Okay. This goes to the trash. By the way, let's see how this one fit. I never did a try even before I bought it, and actually it's perfect. So should be much nicer. Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, so nice. One thing I will do later is add the chamfer here, because this pistol grip doesn't fully, let's say, fit to the shape of the trigger guard, and you can feel it under your fingers. So this is the rubberized part. This is the MOE Plus pistol grip, original Magpul grip, and I'm gonna add the chamfer here later. You will see. But back to the receiver right now. The trigger guard is just 3 mm thick, right? So the hose that we will be using is 6 mm thick. Here I cannot go deeper than 2 mm because this is plastic. So it will be very risky to do like 0.5 mm left over, so 2.5 mm groove for the hose, yeah? So let's do what we can. As I said, just 2 mm. And for the width, where to put the groove, it's easily visible because of the split line, yeah? So we just go through the middle, and I will add it here. One more important thing is that, of course, if you want to use some power tool for this, you have to be very careful, because this could heat up and melt. Yeah, this is just plastic. So you don't want to overdo it. Be very, very careful. And if you are worried, you know, it can be too difficult with a power tool, that you can damage something or whatever, just use a regular hand file, yeah? And with the plastic, it will go quickly. I will modify it off screen. I will show you what result you want to achieve. And here it is. That's how it looks like. Here all the way to this surface, and here they're deep into the magwell. I keep 1 mm distance from the main surface of the trigger guard on the inside all the way, and you can see like there is no like melted plastic or anything, no mark on the inside, so it's pretty nice. I did it using a power tool and then filing it. Of course I was careful not to overheat the parts. I cleaned it up with a knife from the remaining plastic debris. Actually, this plastic is pretty nice, it doesn't melt so easily, so it went pretty easily, pretty fine. So now we can start putting this all back together, and we will start off with our valve knocker block. So for the firing pin retainer block we will need these 5 parts, the 2 springs. First we drop in the bolt catch arm like this, yeah, it has to slide here. Then we will take this arm and we need to hook the spring on it, okay, like this. And now we go to the other side where we throw in the spring and the arm, okay, like this. With this whole sub-assembly ready, we go back to the receiver and we push it all the way in and it's ready. Okay, we can check quickly the functionality. Yeah, all is good. Now we will take this plate here. Okay, let's prepare it this way. So I squeeze that in the groove in this lever here, and now I can take the trigger with this spring. This fits this way, right? Not trigger, sorry, the hammer. Put it through the hole here. Okay, and put it back to the gun. Okay, so that those holes align. Here be careful because this steel plate can be coming back to obscure the hole, yeah? Then take the trigger pin, the one that looks like a screw. Again, hammer pin, sorry. Okay, then let's push it through. No hammers, nothing, just no tools, just by hand, then you won't damage the plastic in the receiver, right? Okay, so this is in place. Now I can push this plate back to the front. Okay, this way I lock the pins in place. Now we will go for the fire selector. So first we need to drop the spring into this opening there, then cover it with this pin or whatever this is. Okay, you see it's prepared. And now press it here from the top and put the fire selector in. Okay, and while rotating on the cocked hammer you will be able to push in the fire selector completely. You can then put the second arm back here, okay, and secure it with that little screw. Okay, so we are almost done here. Now the second plate, that plate goes between the sear like this, and here it has to go into a groove on this on this big pin. Yeah, okay, no problem, went in. And if I look here, there is a hole for the screw, right? It has to be aligned. So I position this plate so that the hole for the screw is aligned. Okay, now the remaining screws. So one screw goes here. It is always good to secure these kind of screws with a little bit of Loctite, right? Okay. Now on the other side, screw here. This time the cylindrical head. Right, we are almost done. Now the bolt catch will go back. The bolt catch has to fit from the top, yeah? We need to push it, but make sure that this hook here, this hook, catches on this part that here should be lifted, so that it works like this after insertion. And finally, we can take the mag catch, throw it in from this side, here the spring, then the button. Okay, and with the screw hole facing up, screw it in. Okay, so the lower is reassembled finally, and we can assemble the conversion to it. So as you remember, we will use those 2 screws to attach it to through these holes into those 2 holes we did in the receiver. And one new thing that is implemented in this conversion is this rear screw here at the bottom. The idea here is that you can undo it, yeah, and it can come out of the conversion to support it. So this is sometimes an issue in the older conversions, that there was like a tilt in the conversion, so that it was maybe not pushed up enough with enough force to seal on the gasket against the bolt carrier. So you had to shim the rear, let's say, so that it lifts up. Here there is this screw on the rear. We will see if we need it in this case, but if in your case the conversion, you will test it and will be tilted down like I explained, then there is this possibility to tilt it up with that screw. Just remember to secure the screw with the glue after setting it, because obviously from the vibration it will thread in and the conversion would, tilt back. Okay, so the conversion has to jump in here now. You can do it from the top like I did. It's better option because the mag well is not constant dimension through all height. There is a split line. This is plastic molding, right? There are drafts. So maybe from the bottom it will cause some scratches on the rear, because the rear is kind of tightly fitted into the width, yeah? Okay, so I have it right now like this, and now I just need to drop in those screws and tighten them in place. And if you have some issue to, put the conversion in, because, here the arm on the conversion has to go under the bolt catch, right? So you can pull out the bolt catch and do it without it, put it as the last part. In my case it's quite fine. You see I have this long hex key, I can tighten the screws. You can also use this ball end type, because this is pretty small space, yeah? And you don't want to tighten it completely, till the full resistance. First, let's tighten it slightly. Okay, and for final tightening, let's put in the magazine. It will position the conversion correctly, basically, in the middle of the mag well. Let's put the hex key again. Here maybe with this shorter side, and let's tighten it to the full. And that's how it looks like. We can put in the magazine, should slide pretty easily. You can see if the bolt catch goes all the way up, yeah, it should be practically completely up. Yeah, you see I can barely move it higher, so the fit is pretty nice. And yeah, the hose has to be attached here and actually screwed to this connector. So right now to, undo this nut in here, yeah, put in the hose, screw the nut back, might be pretty tricky. So for this I will need to remove this once again. Right now I just checked the fitting of the screw holes. So you see I already have the nut removed, right? So I'll just take the hose, and I'm using already a pre-cut shorter piece because I don't want to make it as long as, let's say, possible with the kit length, but each person has different preferences. Maybe you will need to do it twice because you will change your mind or whatever. So you should get the length of the hose, let's say, in excess. And now I can tighten this nut all the way. Okay, and prepared like this, I can drop the conversion back from the top. The hose goes through the bottom, obviously, and now those 2 screws. So attachment with the hose will be a little more tricky. However, hose is flexible, so the screws will always pull the conversion into the exact same place. So like this part you already know. Partially tighten the screws, insert the magazine to make sure it's okay, then tighten them fully. So let's do it off screen. And the hose lives this way, so we will later tape it here into the groove. And one more thing I wanted to show right now is regarding the magazine. So if I insert the magazine, you see here there is barely the gap for the hose, and the original magazines with smaller cutout on the rear could actually hit the hose, and it could push out the magazine or get damaged after many insertions, right? So this is why the magazine was modified in such a way that this cutout goes all the way till this big rib here. Probably you could ask if we should not check the fitting of the conversion against the nozzle. So let's do this right now. And now we will need to hook the rear part in here. Okay, then push here. and probably it won't lock unless you pull the charging handle. You see, I reached out through, like, from the bottom, pulled it a bit back, and I was able to insert the pin. So this is how it looks like right now. And we have a little jump in time because I did not manage to finish the video in one go. So I'm recording the rest currently, and it will be switching between currently and the older material. Yeah, so for now you see the rest is assembled, but let's focus on the step that we were at. Okay, so we were here, and you should check that the nozzle, basically when you load the gun, it should stay in place, right? Mine stays for plus minus whole bolt travel. Yeah, it disconnects at the end. And honestly, my gun was not really doing this, because like even with the original magazine on the green gas and so on, because the stock backing was not the best one, and I used the Modify X range and it helped. Yeah, but this is, let's say, the condition you want to have. If you are not having this kind of condition, what you can check to make sure that all is good is kind of similar like in these other conversions I showed. So you need to look deep in here, and if your nozzle is running out, yeah, you need to hold it maybe with some screwdriver in place or something, and basically see if the entrance of the gas to the nozzle from the bottom is exactly over the gasket on the conversion. This entrance for the gas on SCAR nozzle is actually quite small, so even if the nozzle is like 2 millimeters forward on the seal, it's not an issue, because, you know, in your case it will be exactly like in my case, because the conversion is positioned quite firmly. There is not much that could be changed, so the distance here would be the same. We are more interested in the tilt, yeah? So if this would be like conversion down and there is a gap between the nozzle and the conversion, then you need to use the rear screw and basically tilt it up. Also, to check proper function, you can do this trick that I always do with all the conversions, meaning you can put the gun on fire, just pull the trigger, it will release the hammer, and right now if you blow through the hose, my hose in this moment is actually finished, yeah? We'll see later how to do it, but I will blow into the hose, yeah? And you probably could hear that the air was hissing when traveling through the mechanism. The second thing to do is to basically charge the gun and try to blow again. And now the valve should be resetted and there should be no sound. So I'm completely not able to blow through, and this means that it's okay. Yeah, so this is how you check for the proper function on the conversion. One more thing that will confirm proper function later is if the gun actually shoots, have stable muzzle energy and loads the BBs, yeah? But with stable muzzle energy, what I learned about the SCAR is that it requires some upgrades. So probably if you like modify stock gun and you do the conversion perfectly, it will still have some issues because of the backing and some different stuff. But I will record a separate video about this, and for now we just focus on the assembly. Okay, the next thing is the conversion height, which also can be set by this tilt. Here you will confirm that the nozzle basically travels on a proper height to the magazine, so that it allows for smooth BB loading, yeah? So what you need to do is insert one of the magazines, but we concentrate in this area. And now when you charge the gun and you release the bolt, yeah, you don't want the lockback. You need to look in there deep and basically see this BB pusher on the nozzle. You can see it under the locking lugs, right? Where it strikes the theoretical BB that would be in the magazine, yeah? So the point is that this BB striker should be more or less in the middle of the BB. So if you right now have an empty magazine like I do, it's like 0.5 millimeter. This bottom surface of the BB pusher is 0.5 millimeter above the bottom of the cutout for the BB pusher on the mag. So this, you know, it's very small, it's deep in there. I cannot really show it, but I believe you understand the description, right? This is really important because with the SCAR, this plastic part that surrounds the hop-up backing and acts as the BB feeding track is really easy to break. Yeah, it's kind of fragile and it's made of plastic. You see, I have a blue backing because this is Modify X range installed already. So if the BB will basically be too low with the magazine and you release the bolt with full spring tension, I mean by the bolt catch or just charging the gun, it will probably break that black part. Yeah, it's much weaker than in other 7.62 guns from VFC. So this is why you need to really put attention to it. And as I said, if you see that it's too low, you basically tilt the conversion up, because conversion fills out the magazine here and it will pull the magazine with it, tilting it up so that the feeding lips are at the proper height. Yeah? And this is how you set it. So here it would be good to just load one BB into the mag, put it into the gun, and repeat this activity. So I release the bolt, and looking from the top, I hope you can see it somehow, I need to make sure that this BB pusher meets with the BB, made like center of the pusher to the center of the BB. Yeah? It's like really small space there to show it. Yeah, but that's the idea. And if it is like it, then the gun will load with no issues, the BB will go into the chamber and everything will work. Yeah? The gun won't break. Right now I have a BB in the chamber, so I need to be careful not to shoot it out into something and not to destroy it. I will unload it and then we move on to the next steps. And now almost the last thing, we need to drill a hole through the pistol grip to route the hose through it and then do the final assembly. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'll drill through the front. The hose is 6mm diameter, so I'll go with maybe 7, let's see. I already chamfered this edge out, yeah, so that it doesn't bother me when I hold it in my hand. Yeah, so I'll show you the drilled through part. And if you use the original pistol grip or any other kind of pistol grip, you do the same, yeah, you just drill through. That's pretty simple. So the pistol grip has a hole right now. It's maybe not looking beautiful because it's this rubberized one, so it's hard to drill in it, but definitely doable. And I already prepared the rest of the parts. So those two sleeves, as you remember, the connector, the Phillips screw, the original from the original pistol grip, and here the spring with protector sleeve. I took off the hose because I wanted to pre-cut it to the length I will be using. We take the pistol grip and we slide it onto the hose like this, and then we will take the screw and put it into the pistol grip and basically tighten it in place. Pretty simple. Okay, so this is how it looks like. You see that this hose is here in the groove. It sticks out a bit, but later I will use some tape to hold it down more to the trigger guard. The magazine we already checked that it fits, yeah, so all seems good. And now for the final step, let's attach the connector. I actually have a video that is part of every manual, it's recorded separately, and I was linking it to all the videos saying watch this standard video because you know, disassembly is always the same, right? So here we have a small change. We have only 2 of these sleeves and a new type of the black HPA connector. So for this, the process is a bit simpler. I will show it again. It will take just a few minutes. Okay, so I put the spring with the sleeve back onto the hose, and there will be one of those heat shrinking tubes going here. Okay, and inside you can leave it partially sticking out like this, and then the second one, but here we can cut off the excess of this hose like this. So this is my length, you can leave it longer obviously. And here we are going to attach the connector, very simple. So there goes the nut and we press in the connector. Right, now obviously we tighten the nut all the way. Here we will pull a bit of the sleeve onto the nut and secure it with super glue. So super glue, secure it. from both sides. And while the glue is setting, we can cover the connector with this heat shrinking tube. We don't need to like go with whole length, yeah, it's just partially. Okay, and now we can shrink those two tubes, the one on the connector and the one here. Take a heat gun. Okay, be careful for the frogs. Okay, now I can cut off the excess here. Okay, so the connector is not covered with the tube. And the last thing is to secure there deep in the pistol grip this tube with a super glue to, you know, make it not slide. So I go like this. I'm gonna put the glue on some screwdriver, right, so that I can apply it deep there and then quickly put it in. And I applied it between the heat shrinking tube and that hose deep inside. Okay, so as I said, now we can assemble it to the gun and check how it works under pressure. So now when we finished with this, the assembly is complete. Let's try the gun. We take our HPA. Maximum pressure is 150 psi. Depending on the tolerances on the manometer, you might consider going with 145 just for safety. And as with all the guns, the VFC Scar Heavy has the same type of mechanism. Means if you can put it on safe, it means that the hammer was cocked and the valve inside is resetted. Yeah. So if now I put it on semi, I pull the trigger, I'm not able to put it back on safe. So what would happen if I would connect the pressure right now? The air would blow just straight through the mechanism and the gun would shoot. Yeah, it would reload once and nothing else would happen. But if it has a BB in a chamber, obviously it would make a random shot. So as with all firearms, we apply this rule of safety also to the airsoft guns. And we can connect the pressure only on safe because every gun sometimes fires on its own, right? So I cock the gun with empty magazine. I press the bolt catch, but generally put it on safe, and right now I can connect the pressure safely. US type connector, obviously. Bam. Now what you can do, listen for any hissing. If everything's fine in the gun, no issues. If no issues, then let's take a couple of shots just for testing the function. Semi. Kicks really nicely. Actually mine is already modified, we are again back to the future, but even the stock gun works really nice, yeah? Okay, then full auto. Okay, nice for a big 7.62mm gun. Then the next thing is to test the bolt catch, so we can drop in the magazine and basically take a couple of shots again. So the bolt catch works, and I can mimic this on full auto. I will hold the bolt catch down for a second and release it so that you know, the bolt catch should catch the bolt, right? Okay, so the gun is fully functional, everything's fine. What you should do now is measure the muzzle energy. In stock my Scar was pretty random, I had to do some upgrades, so you can check yours. Maybe yours has better tolerances, or maybe you have already modified the hop and it will be better than mine stock. But for the mods implemented in the Scar and what I learned about this, how to make it an awesome DMR or assault rifle, whatever you choose, I will make a separate video. But for now, for the conversion assembly, that's all. We built the gun, it's fully functional. I can also tell you that with this barrel length, I have the 6.01 inner barrel inside, yeah? So it can push out to even 4 joules on 120 psi. So it's a huge amount, yeah? Nobody probably needs that much. You can also use the MPAS to reduce it, of course. But it's an awesome gun. So thank you for watching the video. This was the Frog Manual Scar Heavy VFC conversion. This is the year of the scars, so the next scars will come. And for now, thank you so much for watching. Again, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, write in the comments what you think. May the power of GBBR be with you.